Okay, so after my talk with Jessie this morning, I've decided that my final outcome has changed a little bit. So I'm still going with this idea of um, physical structures drawn in charcoal, which are like visualizations of my thoughts in this abstract form that's my own like language, using all the same process and everything. But instead of it just being in a circle on the floor that you stand in, I started thinking about how I wanted it to be more of an experience to view, and so that it wasn't just my poems in my language, but then it became something where the viewer could like interact a bit more. So I've gone with the idea of I'm going to take a corner this, and I keeping the idea of a circle because that relates to Morgan Sonderegger's language. I'm going to keep that circular structure, but have it start and finish from either side of my head, so it's clear that this is like a trail of thought that doesn't have a start. Well, my head becomes the start and finish, but the rest of the structure doesn't have a clear end, and all the words and stuff are still jumbled up. So it will still be how I want it to be, but it will have, I'm thinking for the final display, it will be me sat on a chair, just sat like this, leaning against the wall, and my head, and so it will stem from my head, and I'll have all the sheets of paper, all my structures drawn already, and I'll place them so that it will circle round, but instead of it just being on this, because this wall's quite shallow, quite narrow, I mean, the paper will move across the wall, so it will come out onto these two walls and then circle back to above my head here, so it almost becomes a circle that as the viewer, you're stepping into to really look at it. And I'm going to make sure that viewers come that close because I'm going to have tiny English translations above each structure, so you'll have to come that close to see what the structure is actually meaning in English. So I've started to map out, these are all the sheets I'm going to use. There's 14 sheets, 10 they're A1, and 4 that are A3, because I wanted just a little bit of change because I didn't want it to look too choppy. So I like how it looks almost like a collage of paper, and there's no real like structure, it's kind of fluid in the movement of it. And I've made sure this area here is going to be where my head is. So it's going to start there and there. But I'm going to draw the structure through this piece of paper and then cover that part of the structure with my head. So that even if I step away, it doesn't break any trail of the thought. Also, where each page joins, I've drawn these little marks to show myself that because when I'm drawing the structures on this paper, I'm going to be doing it separately for each page. So I need to know where they're going to join up with the other pages. So I'm going to number them as well. I've also drawn on from each section of my poem that I'm translating. So that first section is this first page and a little bit on there. And I've drawn the letters from those words, which will help me guide me to make sure that the structure is unique for each section. I'm also going to have an element of a soundscape to this piece. So that will really help home in on the whole concept of my piece, because it's going to be, well, I'm thinking now I'm going to experiment with it when I get to it, because I'm going to do the drawings first and then do the soundscape after, so that I can have this visualization that will help me think of what I want to make into a soundscape. But I'm thinking now I want it to be some element of my full spoken poem, spoken by me. So there's more of that element of my thoughts, and it's from my head. And then I think I'll get my classmates to see it, to view it before I've made the soundscape. And then I want to get their opinions on it and what they see in the piece and in the structure, so that it doesn't just become all about me. And I get this sense of how other people would see my thoughts and how other people almost think my thoughts. So how they would think it if it was their thoughts and things like that. Just what they feel about the piece. And I feel like having that element of interactivity where the viewers will walk in, they'll hear other people's views on it, I think would work really well.